My dear friend, let me ask you something that may shake the very foundation of everything you have believed about your life until this moment. Why is it that in the wealthiest nation ever to exist upon the face of this earth, a land overflowing with abundance beyond the wildest dreams of ancient kings and emperors, 64% of Americans are living from one paycheck to the next, one financial emergency away from complete devastation? Why is it that the average person in this land of infinite plenty retires with less than $200,000 after 40 years of labor, while their neighbor, who began with nothing, accumulates millions with seemingly effortless ease? Why do 78% of workers feel financially stressed every single day, carrying a weight upon their shoulders that crushes their spirit, destroys their health, and robs them of the joy that is their divine birthright? Here is the truth that will set you free if you have the courage to receive it. These are not merely economic statistics. These are not simply numbers on a government report. These are the external manifestations of an internal condition. These are the visible symptoms of an invisible disease that has infected the subconscious minds of millions. The poverty you see around you, the lack, the limitation, the constant struggle, all of it is a projection of the beliefs, the fears, the mental patterns that have been impressed upon the deeper mind through years of negative conditioning. But here is the glorious news I bring to you today. The same law that has created poverty can create wealth. The same subconscious mind that has accepted limitation can accept abundance. The same power that has manifested lack in your life can manifest overflow so magnificent that you will not have room enough to receive it. Before we journey together into these sacred truths, I ask you to do something that will seal your commitment to your own transformation. Subscribe to this channel right now, for in doing so, you are making a covenant with your own higher self that you are ready to receive wisdom. Press that like button as an act of faith, as a declaration that you believe in the power within you to change your financial destiny. And leave a comment below telling me this. What would your life look like if money flowed to you as easily as air flows into your lungs? Share that vision, for in the writing of it, you begin to impress it upon your subconscious mind. Now let us begin this sacred journey into the depths of your own consciousness, where all wealth is created and all poverty is dissolved. The statistics that describe the financial condition of the average American are not merely alarming, my friend. They are a revelation. They are a mirror held up to the collective subconscious mind of a nation, and what that mirror reflects should awaken every thinking person to a profound and liberating truth. The external world of poverty, struggle, and lack is not the cause of human suffering. It is the effect. It is the shadow cast by the beliefs, fears, and mental images that have been impressed upon the deeper layers of consciousness through generations of ignorance regarding the laws of mind. Consider these figures carefully, not as a source of despair, but as evidence of a great spiritual law in operation. The average American household carries over $100,000 in debt. Nearly half of all Americans cannot cover an unexpected expense of $400 without borrowing money or selling something they own. The median retirement savings for those approaching the age of 60 is barely more than $100,000, a sum that will be exhausted within a few short years of leaving the workforce. 40% of Americans could not maintain their standard of living for more than 1 month if they lost their primary source of income. I ask you to pause and truly absorb what these numbers represent. This is not occurring in a barren desert where resources are scarce. This is not happening in a land where opportunity is denied. This is taking place in a country with more millionaires than any other nation on earth, where new fortunes are created every single day, where the avenues to prosperity are more numerous than at any time in human history. The same sun shines upon the one who struggles and the one who prospers. The same opportunities exist for both. The same creative intelligence that flows through one flows through all. So what makes the difference? What is the invisible factor that determines why one person rises to extraordinary wealth while another, equally intelligent, equally hardworking, perhaps even more diligent in their efforts, remains trapped in the prison of financial mediocrity? The answer lies in the realm you cannot see with your physical eyes, but which is more real and more powerful than anything you can touch with your hands. The answer is the subconscious mind. The answer is the deeply held beliefs, the habitual thought patterns, the emotional convictions that have been planted in the fertile soil of your deeper consciousness, and which now bear fruit in your external experience with mathematical precision. Let me share with you a principle that has the power to revolutionize your entire financial existence if you will accept it with an open and receptive heart. Your subconscious mind is a faithful servant. It does not argue. It does not question. It does not discriminate between thoughts of wealth and thoughts of poverty. It simply accepts whatever is impressed upon it with feeling and conviction, and then it proceeds to bring that impression into manifestation in your outer world with a power and intelligence that surpasses your conscious understanding. This is the law that Jesus Christ himself taught when he declared, "It is done unto you as you believe." Notice he did not say it is done unto you as you deserve, or as you have earned, or as the economy permits, or as your education qualifies you for. He said it is done unto you as you believe. Your belief, impressed upon the subconscious mind, is the creative factor that shapes your experience. Your expectation, held with faith and feeling, is the mold into which the infinite substance of the universe is poured. The alarming financial statistics of the average American, therefore, are not evidence of a broken economy. They are not proof that the system is rigged against the common person. They are not justification for resentment, envy, or despair. They are simply the collective outpicturing of the collective beliefs held in the subconscious minds of millions of people who have never been taught the truth about their own creative power. Consider for a moment how the average person is conditioned from earliest childhood regarding money. They hear phrases repeated so often that these phrases sink into the subconscious mind and become unquestioned assumptions about reality. Money does not grow on trees. Rich people are greedy. You have to work hard for every dollar. There is never enough. We cannot afford that. Money is the root of all evil. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer. These statements, repeated by well-meaning parents, teachers, and authority figures, become the seeds from which the tree of financial experience grows. And just as an oak tree cannot produce apples, a subconscious mind planted with seeds of lack and limitation cannot produce abundance. The law is immutable. The harvest corresponds to the planting. The fruit corresponds to the seed. The outer experience corresponds to the inner belief. This is not speculation or wishful thinking. This is the testimony of every great teacher of spiritual truth throughout human history. The Bible declares in Proverbs, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." The heart in scriptural language refers to the subconscious mind, the feeling nature, the deep seat of conviction and belief. What you think with feeling in your heart, you become. What you believe in the depths of your being, you experience. What you accept as true in your subconscious mind, you manifest in your circumstances. Lawrence Scovel Shinn, that remarkable teacher of metaphysical truth, understood this principle perfectly when she wrote that your word is your wand. She meant by this that the thoughts you habitually think, the words you habitually speak, and above all the feelings and beliefs you habitually entertain are the creative forces that shape your destiny. She often told her students that the game of life is a game of boomerangs, for our thoughts, deeds, and words return to us sooner or later with astounding accuracy. If you have been sending out thoughts of lack, thoughts of worry about money, thoughts of envy toward those who have more, thoughts of fear about the future, thoughts of resentment toward your bills and obligations, these thoughts are returning to you in the form of the very conditions you wish to escape. This is not punishment. This is law. This is the operation of a principle as reliable as gravity and as impersonal as mathematics. Here is the liberating truth that dissolves fear and awakens hope. The same law that has brought lack can bring abundance. The same subconscious mind that has manifested poverty can manifest wealth. The same creative power that has been working against you because of your ignorance can now work for you through your understanding. You are not condemned to repeat the patterns of the past. You are not doomed to remain among the alarming statistics of financial struggle. You can, right now, in this very moment, begin to plant new seeds in the garden of your subconscious mind and watch as a new harvest inevitably appears in your experience. Neville Goddard, a great mystic and interpreter of Scripture, taught this same truth with such clarity that millions have been transformed by his words. He declared that imagining creates reality, that the human imagination is God in man, and that whatever you can assume and sustain in your imagination must eventually harden into fact in your outer world. This is not fantasy or escapism. This is the recognition that consciousness is the only reality, and that the world you experience is the objectification of your subjective states. Think of what this means for your financial life. If you can, in the quiet sanctuary of your own mind, begin to imagine yourself as prosperous, to feel the reality of wealth as if it were already accomplished, to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and live from that assumption with consistency and persistence, you are impressing a new pattern upon your subconscious mind. And what is impressed upon the subconscious mind must express in the outer world. It is law. It cannot fail. The alarming statistics we have discussed exist because the majority of people do not know these truths. They believe that their financial condition is determined by forces outside themselves, by the job market, by the economy, by their education, by their family background, by luck or fate or chance. They do not realize that they are living in a mental and spiritual universe governed by laws as precise and predictable as the laws that govern the physical world. They do not know that they are constantly creating their experience through the activity of their own minds. You, my friend, are no longer among the ignorant. The very fact that you are listening to these words is evidence that something within you has awakened. Something in you is ready to receive this truth. Something in your deeper consciousness has called out for liberation, and that call is now being answered. The veil is being lifted from your eyes, and you are beginning to see that the prison of financial limitation has never been made of iron bars or stone walls. It has been made of thoughts, beliefs, and mental images that you can change. Let me tell you about a man who came to see me many years ago in a state of complete financial desperation. He was in his 50s, had worked his entire adult life in various jobs, and yet found himself with nothing to show for his decades of labor. His debts exceeded his assets. His marriage was strained from the constant pressure of money problems. His health was deteriorating from worry and stress. He represented in his own person the alarming statistics we have been discussing. When he sat before me, he said, "Dr. Murphy, I have tried everything. I have worked hard. I have taken extra jobs. I have cut expenses. Nothing works. It seems like the universe is against me." I listened with compassion, for I understood that this man was suffering greatly. But I also knew that his suffering was not caused by external circumstances, but by internal patterns of thought. I asked him to tell me about his relationship with money throughout his life. I asked him what he had been taught about wealth as a child. I asked him what he thought about rich people, what he felt when he paid his bills, what images filled his mind when he thought about his financial future. As he answered these questions, the source of his difficulty became clear. His mind was a garden choked with weeds of lack, fear, and resentment. He had been raised by parents who lived through the Depression and who had impressed upon him from earliest childhood a deep conviction that money was scarce, that life was a struggle, that you had to fight for every crumb and expect disappointment. He had internalized beliefs that rich people were dishonest, that wanting money was somehow spiritually inferior, that he was destined by some mysterious force to always struggle. These beliefs, planted in his subconscious mind before he was old enough to question them, had been operating automatically throughout his entire life, neutralizing his efforts, sabotaging his opportunities, causing him to make decisions that led inevitably to the very outcomes he feared. He had been working against the law instead of with it. He had been planting thorns and expecting roses. I explained to him the truth about his subconscious mind and its creative power. I told him that his current condition, as painful as it was simply the faithful reproduction of the mental patterns he had been holding. I assured him that these patterns could be changed, that the subconscious mind could be re-imprinted with new beliefs, and that when this happened, his outer circumstances would begin to shift with a certainty that would seem almost miraculous. I gave him a simple technique to practice every night before sleep, when the conscious mind relaxes its guard and the subconscious is most receptive to suggestion. I told him to lie quietly in bed, to relax his body completely, and to imagine himself sitting in a beautifully furnished office, looking at a bank statement that showed a large and growing balance. I told him to see the numbers clearly, to feel the paper in his hands, to let a wave of gratitude and satisfaction wash over him as he contemplated his new financial reality. I instructed him to fall asleep in this feeling of wealth fulfilled, to let this be the last impression upon his mind as he drifted into slumber. I was skeptical at first, as many are when they first encounter these teachings. The conscious mind, trained in materialism and the belief in external causation, resists the idea that inner imagining can affect outer reality. But his suffering had made him humble, and his desperation had made him willing to try something new. He agreed to practice this technique faithfully for 30 days. Within the first week, he reported a subtle but noticeable shift in his mood. The constant anxiety that had been his companion for years began to lift. He found himself thinking about his future with something approaching hope rather than dread. He noticed that he was less irritable with his wife, more patient with his colleagues, more open to conversations about opportunity. The third week, something remarkable occurred. He received a telephone call from a former employer offering him a position he had applied for 2 years earlier and had long since forgotten. The salary was significantly higher than anything he had earned before, and the position included benefits that would address his mounting health concerns. He accepted immediately. This was only the beginning. Once the subconscious pattern had shifted, once the inner conviction of prosperity had replaced the old conviction of lack, the outer manifestations continued to multiply. Within 6 months, he had paid off his most pressing debts. Within a year, he had begun to accumulate savings for the first time in his adult life. Within 3 years, he had achieved a level of financial security he had never imagined possible. When he came to thank me, I reminded him that I had done nothing but show him the law. The power that had transformed his life was his own subconscious mind, working in obedience to the new beliefs he had impressed upon it. The wealth that now flowed into his experience had always been available to him. The only thing that had changed was his inner conviction regarding his right and ability to receive it. His story is not exceptional. I have witnessed variations of it countless times throughout my years of teaching these truths. The specific details differ from person to person, but the principle remains constant. Change your inner conviction about wealth and your outer experience of wealth must change. Impress upon your subconscious mind a new pattern of prosperity, and that pattern must manifest in your circumstances. This is law, not chance. This is science, not superstition. Napoleon Hill, whose research into the causes of success and failure spanned more than 2 decades and included interviews with the most accomplished individuals of his era, arrived at this same conclusion through an entirely different method. His approach was empirical rather than metaphysical, yet his findings confirmed what the mystics and spiritual teachers had always known. He discovered that the primary difference between those who accumulated great wealth and those who remained poor was not intelligence, education, or initial capital. It was what he called a burning desire backed by faith and applied with persistence. What is this burning desire but a thought held with such intensity of feeling that it impresses itself upon the subconscious mind? What is this faith but the conviction that what you imagine is possible and that the power to achieve it lies within you? What is this persistence but the refusal to allow doubt and contradiction to uproot the seed before it has time to germinate and bear fruit? Hill was describing, in secular terms, the very spiritual law that Jesus taught when he said, "What things soever ye desire when ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them." Word pray in the original Greek carries the meaning of moving toward, of orienting oneself toward a desired end. It is not the repetition of words or the adoption of a posture. It is the inner movement of consciousness toward a desired state of being. And the instruction to believe that ye receive them before they appear in the physical world is the essence of faith, the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. This is the creative act that impresses the subconscious mind and sets the law of manifestation into motion. Carl Jung, the great psychologist who explored the depths of the human psyche with unprecedented rigor, recognized this same creative power in the subconscious mind. He understood that the unconscious, as he called it, is not merely a repository of repressed memories and primitive impulses. It is a vast intelligence, connected to something larger than the individual ego, capable of knowing things the conscious mind does not know and accomplishing things the conscious mind cannot comprehend. He saw that when a person establishes the right relationship with this deeper aspect of self, possibilities open up that seem impossible from the limited perspective of ordinary awareness. Jung's work affirms what the spiritual teachers have always proclaimed. There's a power within you that is infinitely greater than any problem you face, infinitely more intelligent than your conscious reasoning, infinitely more capable than your personal effort. This power is your subconscious mind, and it is connected to the infinite intelligence that governs the universe. When you learn to work with this power, to impress it with your desires through the technique of vivid imagination held with faith and feeling, you tap into a source of supply that knows no limitation. The alarming financial statistics of the average American persist because this truth remains hidden from the majority. Schools do not teach it. Universities ignore it. The mainstream culture actively denies it, insisting that wealth is created only through external means, that success is the product of circumstances beyond individual control, that the economic system determines who prospers and who struggles. You, having heard these truths, are no longer bound by the ignorance that keeps the masses in chains. You now understand that the creative power lies within your own consciousness. You now know that the subconscious mind is the medium through which all wealth is manifested. You now recognize that your thoughts, beliefs, and mental images are the seeds that determine your financial harvest. The question before you now is not whether these principles are true. The question is whether you will apply them. The question is whether you will take the time each day to quiet your conscious mind, to enter the sanctuary of your imagination, and to impress upon your subconscious mind the reality of the wealth you desire. The question is whether you will persist in this practice with faith and patience, trusting in the law even when outer appearances seem to contradict your inner vision. I say unto you with complete certainty, as one who has witnessed these laws operate countless times in my own life and in the lives of thousands who have applied these teachings, that if you will commit to this practice, your financial circumstances must change. It is not a question of possibility, but of inevitability. The law does not fail. The subconscious mind always brings forth the likeness of what is impressed upon it. Plant seeds of prosperity with consistency and conviction, and you will reap a harvest of wealth as surely as the farmer who plants wheat reaps wheat. Remember this: the change must begin within. You cannot wait for circumstances to improve before you begin to think thoughts of wealth. You cannot postpone your practice of visualization until you see some external evidence of progress. The law operates from within out, from consciousness to circumstance, from belief to manifestation. You must first feel prosperous in your imagination, regardless of what your bank account currently shows. You must first assume the feeling of wealth fulfilled, regardless of what your current bills may be. You must first become rich in consciousness, and then the riches will materialize in form. This is the path out of the alarming statistics. This is the road from poverty to prosperity. This is the bridge from lack to abundance. And it begins not with more effort, not with more education, not with a better job or a luckier break, but with a transformation in the depths of your own subconscious mind. As we bring this first portion of our journey together to a close, I want you to pause and recognize what has been awakened within you. The words you have heard are not merely information to be stored and forgotten. They are seeds of truth that have been planted in the fertile soil of your consciousness. Water these seeds with attention and contemplation. Nurture them with daily practice. Protect them from the weeds of doubt and the frost of skepticism. Within you at this very moment is the power to become one of those who defies the statistics, one of those who rises above the average, one of those who demonstrates that wealth is not the privilege of the few, but the birthright of all who understand and apply the law. This power is your subconscious mind, and it is awaiting your direction. It is ready to bring forth whatever you will impress upon it with faith and feeling. In the next portion of our time together, we shall explore more deeply the techniques of impression, the science of visualization, the art of prayer, and the specific ways you can apply these principles to dissolve debt, attract income, and establish yourself in a consciousness of permanent prosperity. We shall examine the role of gratitude, the importance of non-resistance, and the mystery of divine timing. We shall go further into the teachings of the masters and draw from their wisdom the practical methods that will enable you to transform your financial life completely. But even now, before we proceed, something has already shifted within you. A door has been opened that can never be fully closed again. You have glimpsed a truth that your soul recognizes, a truth that resonates in the deepest chambers of your being. You know now that you are not a victim of circumstances. You know now that the power to prosper lies within you. You know now that the alarming statistics do not define your destiny. Go forward from this moment with a new sense of authority over your financial life. Go forward with the conviction that your subconscious mind is a faithful servant awaiting your command. Go forward with the certainty that as you change your inner beliefs, your outer world must change to reflect them. The infinite power that created the universe is the same power that operates through your subconscious mind. It is available to you. It is working for you. It is ready to bring forth abundance in your life, the moment you cease to block it with thoughts of lack and limitation. You are greater than you know. You are wealthier than you have yet demonstrated. You are standing at the threshold of a new chapter in your financial story, and the pen that writes that chapter is held in your own hand. The journey we have begun together is not a journey of miles, but of consciousness. It is not a movement through space, but through awareness. And as we continue now into deeper waters of understanding, I want you to recognize that every word you receive is not merely teaching you something new, but awakening something ancient, something eternal, something that has always been true within you, but which the noise and confusion of the world has obscured from your recognition. You have established that the alarming financial statistics of the average American are not the result of external conditions, but the manifestation of internal beliefs. We have seen that the subconscious mind is the creative medium through which all circumstances are produced. We have understood that the same law which has created lack can create abundance, and that the transformation begins not in the outer world, but in the inner realm of thought, belief, and imagination. Now let us proceed to examine the practical application of these principles with greater specificity, for it is not enough to understand the law intellectually. The law must be applied. The truth must be practiced. The knowledge must become wisdom through direct experience and consistent action in the realm of consciousness. First principle of practical application is this. You must decide exactly what you want. This seems obvious, yet it is precisely where most people fail before they even begin. When I ask individuals what they desire financially, they often give vague and uncertain answers. They say they want more money, or they want to be comfortable, or they want to not worry about bills. But these statements lack the precision necessary to impress the subconscious mind with clarity and power. Subconscious mind responds to definite, specific impressions. It cannot work effectively with vagueness and ambiguity. When you plant a seed in the earth, you do not plant a general idea of vegetation. You plant a specific seed, and that seed contains within itself the pattern for exactly what it will become. An apple seed becomes an apple tree. A tomato seed becomes a tomato plant. There is no confusion, no uncertainty, no ambiguity in nature's creative process. What must be with your mental planting? You must decide upon a specific sum of money you wish to manifest. You must determine exactly what financial condition you desire to experience. You must create in your mind a clear and vivid picture of your prosperity that is detailed enough to evoke genuine feeling. Vague desires produce vague results. Specific desires, held with conviction and emotional intensity, produce specific manifestations. Take the time to write down exactly what you want, not what you think is reasonable or possible according to your current understanding, but what you truly desire. The subconscious mind knows no limitations. It is connected to infinite intelligence and infinite supply. It can bring to pass whatever you can believe, whatever you can imagine with feeling, whatever you can accept as possible for yourself. Do not edit your desires based on past experience. Your past is not your potential. Your history is not your destiny. Write down the financial life you would live if there were no limitations whatsoever, and then begin to impress this vision upon your deeper mind. Second principle of practical application is the technique of visualization. This is the language of the subconscious mind. Your deeper mind does not respond primarily to words, but to images infused with feeling. It is moved not by logical arguments, but by pictures that carry emotional charge. When you visualize your desired financial condition with vividness and feeling, you are speaking directly to the creative power within you in the only language it fully understands. Let me give you a specific method for this practice. Each night before sleep, when your body is relaxed and your conscious mind is beginning to quiet, close your eyes and construct a mental scene that implies your financial wish is already fulfilled. Do not visualize the process of getting wealthy. Visualize the state of being wealthy. Do not imagine yourself wishing for money. Imagine yourself having money, using money, enjoying the life that money provides. Perhaps you see yourself in the home you would own, walking through rooms furnished exactly as you would choose, looking out windows at the view you would enjoy. Perhaps you see yourself opening a bank statement and feeling the satisfaction of seeing a large and growing balance. Perhaps you see yourself writing a check to pay off all your debts, signing your name with joy and relief, knowing that you are free from financial obligation. Perhaps you see yourself traveling to a destination you have always wanted to visit, feeling the air of that place upon your skin, hearing the sounds, experiencing the reality of it. Whatever scene you choose, make it specific and sensory. See it as clearly as you can. Hear whatever sounds would naturally be present. Feel the textures, the temperatures, the physical sensations. Most importantly, feel the emotions you would feel if this were actually happening right now. Feel the joy, the gratitude, the relief, the satisfaction, the pride, the peace. These feelings are the power that impresses the image upon the subconscious mind. Without feeling, the image is merely a passing thought. With feeling, it becomes a seed of manifestation. Neville Goddard taught this technique with such precision and such power that countless individuals transformed their lives through its application. He called it assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. He understood that the subconscious mind cannot distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and an actual physical experience. Both register with equal reality in the deeper mind. Both produce the same impressions. Both set the same creative forces into motion. This is why Jesus declared that whatever you ask in prayer, believing that you have received it, it will be yours. Notice the tense of the verb, believing that you have received it, not that you will receive it. The prayer that manifests is the prayer that accepts the answered state as present reality. The visualization that transforms is the visualization that experiences the desired condition as already accomplished. You must feel yourself into the state you desire. You must live from it rather than toward it. You must make it so real in your imagination that your subconscious mind accepts it as fact and begins immediately to bring it forth into physical expression. Practice this visualization technique every night for at least 15 minutes before sleep. This is the most potent time for impressing the subconscious mind because the drowsy state, what scientists call the hypnagogic state, is characterized by the dominance of alpha and theta brain waves, which render the subconscious exceptionally receptive to suggestion. What you impress upon your mind in these moments before sleep continues to work throughout the night, processing, integrating, and beginning the invisible work of manifestation. Do not limit your practice to these evening sessions alone. Throughout the day, whenever you find yourself with a free moment, return to your vision. Close your eyes briefly and feel again the reality of your wealth. When you are waiting in line, when you are sitting in traffic, when you are taking a break from work, use these moments to reinforce the impression you are making upon your deeper mind. Every repetition deepens the groove. Every return to the feeling strengthens the conviction. Every moment spent in the consciousness of wealth brings you closer to its physical manifestation. The third principle of practical application is the power of affirmation. While the subconscious mind responds most powerfully to images and feelings, words also carry creative force, especially when they are spoken with conviction and repeated with consistency. An affirmation is a statement of truth that you declare to be so, regardless of what external appearances may suggest. It is an act of faith, a verbal seed planted in the garden of consciousness. Craft affirmations that declare your financial well-being as present fact, not as future hope, not as wishful thinking, but as current reality. Say to yourself with feeling and conviction, I am wealthy. Money flows to me from expected and unexpected sources. I am a magnet for prosperity. My income increases every day. I'm grateful for the abundance that fills my life. The infinite intelligence within me guides me to right action and right opportunities. I am worthy of wealth and I accept it now. Speak these affirmations aloud whenever possible. There is power in the spoken word that is not present in mere silent thought. The vibration of your voice, the engagement of your physical body in the act of declaration, adds force to the impression. Florence Scovel Shinn understood this deeply when she taught her students to speak the word, to make verbal declarations of truth that would rearrange the circumstances of their lives. Remember that the power of affirmation lies not in the words themselves, but in the conviction with which they are spoken. An affirmation repeated mechanically, without feeling, without belief, is like a seed planted in barren soil. It may look like proper farming, but it will produce no harvest. You must feel the truth of what you are declaring. You must mean it with your whole being. You must speak from a place of genuine conviction, even if that conviction must be cultivated gradually through repetition and practice. Some people object that it feels dishonest to declare themselves wealthy when their bank accounts are empty, or to affirm abundance when bills are piling up on their desks. But this objection arises from a misunderstanding of the nature of reality and the sequence of manifestation. The truth is that you are wealthy in potential. The infinite supply of the universe is available to you right now. The only thing preventing its manifestation in your experience is your belief in its absence. When you affirm your wealth, you are not lying about current appearances. You are declaring the deeper truth of your spiritual reality and calling forth that truth into physical expression. Jesus said, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." The truth is that you are an expression of infinite life, and infinite life knows no lack. The truth is that you are connected to a source of supply that has no limitation. The truth is that prosperity is your divine birthright, as natural to you as breathing. When you affirm this truth, you are aligning your conscious mind with the deeper reality of your being, and you are creating the conditions for that reality to manifest in your outer experience. Fourth principle of practical application is the cultivation of gratitude. This is perhaps the most powerful of all the mental states for attracting wealth, and yet it is the most neglected by those who struggle financially. Gratitude is the recognition and appreciation of good already present in your life. It is the acknowledgement of blessings already received, and it is, paradoxically, the magnet that attracts more blessings to you. Reason for this is simple when you understand the law of the subconscious mind. What you focus upon expands. What you appreciate increases. What you acknowledge with thankfulness multiplies. When you are grateful for the money you have, no matter how little it may be, you are impressing upon your subconscious mind a pattern of having, a consciousness of supply, a recognition of good. And the subconscious mind, ever faithful to its nature, brings forth more of what you are recognizing and appreciating. Conversely, when you focus on what you lack, when you complain about what you do not have, when you resent your current financial condition, you are impressing upon your subconscious mind a pattern of lack, a consciousness of scarcity, a recognition of insufficiency. And the subconscious mind, without judgment or discrimination, brings forth more of that as well. The Bible instructs us, "In everything give thanks, for this is the will of God concerning you." This is not merely religious sentiment. It is a statement of spiritual law. Giving thanks is the will of God because it aligns you with the creative flow of the universe. It opens you to receive more good. It positions you in harmony with the law of increase. Begin each day with a practice of gratitude. Before you rise from your bed, before you check your phone or review your schedule, take a few moments to acknowledge the blessings in your life. Thank the infinite intelligence for the gift of another day. Thank it for the bed you slept in, the roof over your head, the food you will eat. Thank it for the money you have, however much or little it may be. Thank it for the opportunities that exist, for the abilities you possess, for the life force flowing through your veins. And throughout the day, continue to acknowledge good wherever you see it. When you pay a bill, give thanks that you have the money to pay it and that you receive the service or product the bill represents. When you receive any income, no matter how small, pause and feel genuine appreciation. When you spend money, do so with a sense of gratitude rather than reluctance or fear. Bless your money as it goes out, knowing that it goes to do good and that more will flow back to you. This attitude of gratitude is not merely a pleasant emotional state. It is a powerful creative practice. It is the lubrication that keeps the machinery of manifestation running smoothly. It is the atmosphere in which the seeds of your visualization germinate and grow. Neglect gratitude, and you create resistance in your mind that blocks the flow of good. Cultivate gratitude, and you open wide the channels through which abundance pours into your life. The fifth principle of practical application is the practice of non-resistance. This principle, taught with such clarity by Florence Scovel Shinn, is essential to the manifestation of wealth and is frequently misunderstood by those who approach prosperity from a purely materialistic perspective. Non-resistance means the refusal to fight against conditions, people, or circumstances that seem to oppose your good. It means the cessation of mental struggle, the release of anxiety and worry, the letting go of the need to control every detail of how your manifestation will come about. This may seem counterintuitive. Surely one might think we must work hard, struggle, and fight to overcome financial obstacles. But this approach, while it may produce some external results through sheer force, often creates as many problems as it solves and leaves the individual exhausted, stressed, and no more secure than before. The way of non-resistance is different. It is the way of trust, of allowing, of working with the law rather than against the current of life. When you resist something, you give it power. What you fight, you strengthen. What you push against, pushes back. This is a law of mind as reliable as any physical law. When you worry about debt, you're focusing your mental energy on debt, impressing the image of debt upon your subconscious mind, and thereby attracting more conditions that produce debt. When you fear poverty, you are giving your attention to poverty, making poverty real and present in your consciousness, and thereby creating the conditions for its continuation. Non-resistance does not mean passivity or resignation. It does not mean you take no action or that you accept conditions you do not want. It means you stop fighting mentally. It means you release the struggle within your own mind. It means you trust the law to bring your good to you in its own way and time. It means you focus your mental energy not on what you want to eliminate, but on what you want to create. When a bill arrives that you cannot immediately pay, do not panic, do not resist, do not curse the creditor or resent the obligation. Instead, bless the bill. Thank it for representing a service or product you received. Affirm that the money to pay it is on its way. Release anxiety and trust that the infinite intelligence within you is already working out the solution. This attitude of calm trust, of peaceful expectation, allows the subconscious mind to function without interference and to bring forth the means to meet your obligation. You encounter a person who seems to be blocking your financial progress. Do not resent them, do not fight them, do not spend your mental energy in opposition. Bless them and release them. Know that no person can keep your good from you because your good comes not from people but from the infinite source within you. People are only channels, and if one channel is blocked, the source will simply use another. Your job is to stay connected to the source through faith and positive expectation, and to let the details of how your good arrives unfold without your anxious interference. Sixth principle of practical application is what I call divine timing, and it is perhaps the most challenging aspect of manifestation for those accustomed to living in a culture of instant gratification. When you plant a seed in the earth, you do not expect to harvest the fruit the next day. There is a period of germination, of growth, of development that must occur before the fruit appears. You cannot rush this process. You cannot force it. You can only cooperate with it by continuing to water the seed, keeping the soil fertile, and trusting that nature's process is unfolding perfectly. It is with the seeds you plant in your subconscious mind. There is a period between the planting and the harvest. During this time, invisible forces are at work, rearranging circumstances, attracting opportunities, preparing the way for your manifestation. You cannot see this work with your physical eyes. You cannot measure it with physical instruments. But it is happening nonetheless, as surely as the seed is developing beneath the surface of the soil. Your task during this period is to maintain your faith, to continue your practice, and to refuse to be discouraged by the delay between your inner work and its outer result. Many people give up just before their manifestation is about to appear. They lose patience. They conclude that the law does not work. They abandon their visualization and return to their old patterns of thought, and in doing so, they uproot the very seed that was about to break through the surface and bear fruit. The Bible speaks of this when it says, "Let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not." In due season, not immediately, not on your preferred timeline, but in the perfect timing of the law, which knows exactly when conditions are ripe for manifestation. Your responsibility is to faint not, to persist, to keep the faith, to continue impressing your desire upon the subconscious mind with consistency and conviction. Trust divine timing. Know that your good is coming. Understand that the delay is not a denial but a necessary part of the process. Use the waiting period to deepen your conviction, to strengthen your faith, to practice your visualization with ever greater vividness and feeling. Every day that you maintain your practice without visible result is a day that you are adding power to your manifestation. Every moment of patient trust is an investment in the harvest that is surely coming. Now let me share with you one more case that illustrates these principles working together. A woman came to me who had been trapped in a cycle of poverty her entire life. She had grown up in a home where money was scarce and conversations about finances were always tinged with fear and anxiety. She had carried these patterns into her adult life, never earning enough, always struggling to pay bills, watching opportunities slip away just as they seemed within reach. I taught her the principles we have discussed today. I gave her specific instructions for visualization, affirmation, and the cultivation of gratitude. I warned her about the temptation to resist her current conditions and the necessity of trusting divine timing. She listened carefully and committed to applying these teachings with consistency and faith. For the first month, she saw no external change. Her financial situation remained exactly as it had been, but she persisted. She continued her nightly visualizations. She spoke her affirmations with increasing conviction. She practiced gratitude even when it felt forced. She blessed her bills instead of cursing them. She refused to worry, returning again and again to the feeling of wealth fulfilled. The second month, small shifts began to occur. She received an unexpected refund from a company she had overpaid years ago and had long forgotten. A friend paid back a loan she had written off as lost. She found money in an old coat pocket. These were not large amounts, but she recognized them as signs that the law was working, and she gave thanks with genuine enthusiasm. The third month, larger manifestations began to appear. She was offered a promotion at work that came with a significant increase in salary. A family member who had been estranged for years reached out with an offer of financial assistance. She discovered an investment opportunity that seemed to appear out of nowhere and which would later multiply her resources many times over. Within 1 year, this woman's financial life was unrecognizable. She had paid off all her debts. She had established savings for the first time in her life. She was living in a nicer home, driving a reliable car, and planning vacations she once could only dream about. More importantly, she had undergone an internal transformation. The fear and anxiety about money that had plagued her since childhood had been replaced by a calm confidence in her ability to prosper. She had become a different person on the inside, and her outer world had shifted to match. This is not an extraordinary case. This is the ordinary operation of law applied with faith and consistency. This is what happens when a person finally understands that they are not victims of circumstance, but creators of experience. This is the inevitable result when the subconscious mind is impressed with images of wealth rather than images of poverty. The alarming financial statistics we discussed at the beginning of our time together represent the collective experience of people who do not know these truths. They are the external manifestation of internal ignorance. They are the fruit of seeds of lack planted in the subconscious minds of millions who have never been taught that they have the power to choose differently. But you are no longer among the ignorant. You have received the truth. You understand the law. You know now that your financial destiny is not determined by external forces, but by the contents of your own consciousness. You have been given the tools to transform your relationship with money completely and permanently. The question that remains is simply this: will you use them? Will you commit to the practice of visualization, affirmation, and gratitude? Will you release resistance and trust divine timing? Will you persist in your faith even when external appearances seem to contradict your inner work? Will you choose to become one who demonstrates the law rather than one who merely knows about it? The infinite power of your subconscious mind is available to you right now. It is awaiting your direction. It is ready to bring forth whatever you impress upon it with conviction and feeling. It knows no limitation, no impossibility, no restriction. It is connected to the same intelligence that governs the stars in their courses and causes the seasons to unfold in perfect order. This power is your ally, your servant, your means of transformation. Use it wisely, use it deliberately, use it consistently, and watch as your life begins to reflect the prosperity that has always been your divine inheritance. You are not meant to struggle. You are not designed for lack. You are not destined to be among the alarming statistics of financial mediocrity. You are an individualized expression of infinite life, and infinite life is infinitely abundant. Claim your birthright. Accept your inheritance. Rise into the consciousness of wealth that is your true nature. The universe is ready to bless you beyond your current capacity to imagine. The only limit is the limit you place upon your own belief. Remove that limit. Expand your acceptance. Open wide the doors of your consciousness and let the abundance that has been seeking you finally find its way into your experience. Go now with the conviction that you are wealthy. Go with the faith that your prosperity is assured. Go with the certainty that the law never fails and that what you have impressed upon your subconscious mind must manifest in your life. The power is within you. The time is now. The abundance is already yours. And so it is.